In the forgotten town of Eld Hollow, where the mist lingered like a memory and shadows spoke in hushed tones, 17-year-old Alara arrived at her late grandmother's crumbling manor after the old woman's sudden and unexplained disappearance. The villagers too fearful to help search, whispering that the house on the hill had always been cursed. But Alara, curious and stubborn, ignored their warnings, stepping inside the decaying structure where time seemed to have stopped decades ago. There, amidst cobwebs, old portraits with eyes that followed her, and creaking floorboards, she discovered a peculiar mirror hidden beneath a moth-eaten velvet sheet in the attic. A towering antique frame of blackened silver, adorned with twisting, vines and strange glyphs, the glass so clean it shimmered like water, though it reflected not her true image but a slightly distorted version of her room, where the furniture was reversed, the light dimmer, and in the corner of the reflection, a flicker of movement, a girl standing where Alara stood, staring directly at her with wide, haunted eyes. At first, Alara believed it to be a trick of light or her imagination playing cruel games, but each day she returned to the mirror, drawn by an irresistible pull, each time witnessing the mirror world shift in subtle ways. Books moved without. Touch! Whispers filled the air, and the reflection began to lag, as if caught in a dream that couldn't keep up with reality. Then, one night, as thunder rolled and rain lashed the windows, Alara, gripped by a strange compulsion, reached out to touch the surface. And the moment her fingers met the cold glass, it rippled like a pond and pulled her through into a twisted reflection of her own world, one where the sky was permanently overcast, colors bled into grays, and the house was decayed beyond recognition, as though it had stood abandoned for 100 years, vines consuming the walls, doors rotting off, hinges in silence heavier than any she had known, save for the distant ticking of a massive unseen clock. In this mirrored realm, her reflection was gone, but something had replaced it. A figure cloaked in black, with a porcelain mask carved into a smile, known only as the Watcher, a being who ruled the mirror world and fed off fear, drawing power from those trapped within. Alara, terrified but determined, began to explore the broken world, discovering remnants of others who had been pulled into the mirror. Some long dead, some barely alive, their minds shattered by isolation and horror, including her grandmother, whose soul was fractured and fading, living in a shadow version of her bedroom, trapped in an endless loop of the past. Alara soon realized the mirror was not just a doorway but a prison created centuries ago by a grieving alchemist who, unable to accept the death of his wife, forged the artifact to preserve her soul, only to unleash a curse that twisted grief into obsession, turning memories into weapons and reflections into prisons. As days passed, if time even moved in the mirror, Alara began to experience visions from her own past, events warped and corrupted. Her father's death by drowning, which she had buried deep in her mind, her mother's emotional withdrawal, and the guilt that had grown in her like a weed. The Watcher used these memories to torment her, turning rooms into labyrinths, hallways into endless corridors lined with mirrors, showing every moment she had ever wanted to forget. But through these trials, Alara began to understand that the mirror was feeding not on her physical presence, but on her refusal to accept pain, on denial, on fear. And slowly, she grew stronger, facing each illusion, each monster conjured from her own mind, until she found the alchemist's hidden chamber, a place of silence and sorrow where a journal lay open, revealing the truth. The mirror would only release her if she could face the root of her grief and choose not to flee from it. Armed with this knowledge, she returned to confront the Watcher in the heart of the mirrored manor, now a throne room of shattered glass, suspended over a void of stars and memories. And when the entity tried to break her with visions of her, drowning father begging for rescue, her mother screaming through glass, her own reflection begging to be saved, Alara stepped forward and embraced the pain, whispering that she forgave herself, and that she would not be ruled by guilt or illusion anymore. In that moment, the mask on the Watcher cracked, revealing Alara's own face beneath it, twisted in fear and sadness, then shattered into dust, and the mirror world began to collapse, rooms disintegrating into starlight, the souls of the trapped, freed one by one, including her grandmother who smiled faintly before fading like smoke. Alara awoke in the real attic, gasping, the mirror now shattered on the floor, its frame still humming with faint energy. Though she was back, She knew the journey had left a mark on her. Her hands trembled with memories of that place, and though the house was quiet, she could still feel the mirror's gaze watching her. She buried the shard that glowed faintly, with silver light in the woods behind the house, thinking that it was over. But at night, in dreams, she walked mirrored hallways again, free now, but changed, aware that beyond every reflection is a version of ourselves we fear to face, and that some mirrors don't just show us what we are, they show us what we must become.